Welcome to the Genius Talk podcast. I'm your host Atul Raj, and today we have Janneh Wright with us. Welcome to the show, Janneh.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So, for our listeners who don't know you, can you tell them who you are and what do you do?
Sure. So I am the CEO and founder of a company called Primus Business Management. We are a consulting firm that works with nonprofits and small businesses on their back office services, helping them with everything from accounting to human resource management and administrative operational support. We've been doing it for 23 years now, so it's been a while since we started this organization. And we've really worked with a lot of business owners, helping them really get the kind of systems that they want in place. And part of what we've developed over the years is this model we call the 3C model, which I would love to talk to you guys a little bit about today.
Okay, awesome. So, can you share what inspired you to start Primus Business Management?
Sure. I graduated college in a time in New York in 2001, like right after 9/11, with a degree in economics from upstate New York, say Buffalo, New York. And when I came back to New York City, a lot of the organizations, a lot of the businesses that I wanted to work with, where I want to use my economic degree, were leaving New York. So, at that point, it's like, okay, what do you do now? What are you supposed to do? So I did a minor in accounting. So I started doing accounting for small businesses in my neighborhood. And kind of like as I got into businesses, I started realizing a lot of the things that they were missing, right? Like most business owners, they start business because they like doing what they do. They don't like the business part. They didn't understand the business part. So I started realizing more than just accounting, helping them with IT and helping them with filing and HR and marketing and all these things. It kind of became like this business handyman, right? So I did all these back office parts of businesses. And over the years, I started to realize that, if I really wanted to go deep and help companies really get to a different level, there were three parts that I thought were absolutes, right? That's accounting, human resource management, and then operational support. These were things that were like, if you do it right and you take all these things off of business owners' hands, their ability to focus on their mission, focus on their product, focus on their services is exponentially greater. And that's how the success for their businesses started to happen.
Okay, so what do you consider the most significant success Primus has achieved so far?
I have a client who loves when he's talking about us, he would say, I love the fact I don't have to worry about bills. I love the fact I don't have to worry about HR issues. And what that did was help him grow his company into a $1 million organization, right? Because then he just focused on his product, his services, and his deliverables. And that attention helped him gain more clients, gain more authority, and grew his company from, he was a couple $100,000 a year to about $8 million after about 4 or 5 years. So that is one of our greatest successes, the ability to really help them focus in and just grow their company based on that.
That's impressive. What do you attribute your professional and business success to?
I think it's I want to help people, right? I think that's the background. I'm one of those guys who grew up with a grandmother in the house, so they always teach you how to be part of your community, how to help each other, and that. So when I started, the joke of my family is my mother's a nurse, a retired nurse. My father's a teacher. My sister's a teacher. My brother's a police officer, and I went to business school. So it's like, how do you transform what you've learned into the same kind of social awareness that my family has? So what I decided was I'm going to take my knowledge base and help businesses who help communities. So I think the fact that I'm here as a client of my clients, right? I want to be part of their services to make sure that they're able to be successful. It gives me the drive and the attention and the energy, like I need to make sure they're successful. So it pushes me harder. So I think that's part of what I think makes me successful, is that I am really engaged with my clients. I really love what they do, and I push myself to ensure that they're in the right spot to be successful.
You know what? I think most of the people who are really good, okay, when they care, when they want to help other people, they do much more better.
Yes, 'cause you don't want to see people you don't want to see people fail. You don't want to see people hurt. You don't want to see people in this thing. So you actually push yourself even harder to ensure that doesn't happen, right? I have conversations with my clients that's way beyond business, right? So if I'm seeing something in the world and I think it's going to affect my clients, we're having conversations about it. Whether it's about their program, about their service, it's more than like we're back office service specialists, right? We're accountants, we're HR. But I go beyond that because of things that I've captured, and I want to make sure they're successful. So I bring other things to them as the head back office persons for them.
Okay, that's good. Who's an ideal client for Primus?
So we work with mostly nonprofits. About 90% of our clients are nonprofits. So we're always looking for nonprofits who are, socially engaged. They're in the community. They're really hands-on with their clientele. they're usually around, a little higher than $1 million a year, less than $10 million a year, and they're looking to grow their business without adding a whole bunch of extra services. Right? When you think of outsourcing accounting compared to hiring, and comparing my team to what you'll have to hire a CFO, a controller, and at least one or two junior accountants, right? New York City, you just spent over $500,000 a year for that person. With us, you're getting a fractional department. So you're getting the same level of information for a fraction of that cost, maybe even one-fifth of what you would end up paying if you hired them internally. So, so for us, the clients who are looking for that kind of strategic advantage, the kind of influx of knowledge base and growth is some of our most ideal clients.
Okay, so all these like nine non-profit companies, like they don't make profit. Okay, so like so how that everything works? Like how can they able to like hire employees, like grow the company and like service others?
So when you think of what profit is the bottom line, right? Revenue minus expenses. So no, they don't try to make a profit, but they can still bring in hundreds or thousands of dollars, millions of dollars worth of revenue against expenses. So they still every day they're out there fundraising, they're out there doing programming, they're out there getting funding from organizations who want to support a certain cause or a certain group of individuals. So they're doing work in that arena of like social impact for the world or for the community. So they're getting revenue from corporations, from foundations, from government, from individuals to do this work. And like I said, nonprofits can be $100 million business, right? The idea that they don't make profit, it just means that there's no individual at the end of the day that's taking home that excess money. Excess money is going back into the community.
Okay, okay, got it. So looking back, what do you wish you know when you first started your company that you know right now?
Systems is king, right? I think some of the things that you've learned as you grow from a solopreneur to an organization the size of ours is the founder can be the greatest asset and the biggest bottleneck of an organization. And part of this 3C model thing that we created of how do you really create the foundation of an organization is because now instead of me trying to keep everything to me and everything has to be signed off by me, is how do you delegate properly? How do you create SOPs that capture the culture that you want to build into the organization is run? So for me, if I have known this when I started, it gave me a lot of headaches. I wouldn't have lost those giant clients. I would have gotten more clients a lot quicker. I wouldn't have been as stressed out and burnt out as I was in those first couple of years because I understood that I can't do it all myself. And there's certain things as the owner or the founder of an organization I need to focus on. So by delegating and by creating the foundation, it would have saved me probably 5 to 10 years of of crying at home.
There is a saying like a company owner should always do the king's work. It means the work that cannot be done by someone else, the thing that will going to grow the company, that is the only work should be done by the company, and apart from everything else should be delegated.
Exactly. There's
Yeah.
a really good quote that got me on that road. I was talking to one of my advisors, this guy named Raj Takar, and what he told me was when he started to grow his business, the idea that came to his head was today versus tomorrow, right? And in the same way that you said it, it's like the owner of the business should be concentrated on tomorrow, right?
Mhm.
Grow a business, bring in more funding, bring in more clients. Today has to be delegated to people who can run the day-to-day business of it. So you separate those two things, and now your focus as the business owner or the leader of the organization is towards how we grow the business, while the people who are you're delegating the responsibility of the day-to-day management to is working on your current clients, making sure things are running smoothly, making sure that the foundational work is being done perfectly. So I think when I learned that is where the ideas started to flow of how I should show up in my company and how I should be when I'm working with individuals.
So what do you think? Like what is the mistakes non-profit businesses are making?
In this day, I think understanding how the back office services really can help you grow your business is one of those mistakes, right? I think people see back office services as add-on, right? You have to do the program perfectly, you have to do this part perfectly. But understand that if you create that foundation for your organization, you hire the right people, you put the right places, the right things in process, you have a limited budget. You have a limited resources. To be able to extend those resources and get them to be even more powerful than before, you have to focus on where the work is being done behind the scenes, right? Are you hiring the right staff? Do you have the right systems in place? Are things moving in a proper way? Are you in compliance with everyone, whether it's the IRS, the DOL, whoever else? Are all these things in place? Because those things is what causes some great bottlenecks, some great financial losses, and some great waste of time in organizations. So if you focus on those things, if you focus on the back office services organization, the rest of the organization will run smoother. You'll have more time to do more programmatic focus and more time to do more fundraising.
Okay, can you talk about like non-profit companies who don't have a good back end? Okay, and because of that they suffered.
Yeah, all the time. I think one of like each one of like the directives that we serve under, HR, accounting, for instance, or good back office. We've run into clients who haven't filed taxes in years, right? By the time they come to us, they're asking us to do 3 years or 4 years worth of filings within a 6 month period. And like that's a lot of work, especially if you have government contracts. If you don't file your 990s on time or those taxes on time, you can lose your nonprofit status with the government, which is a bigger headache than you want. That means you can't collect donations, you're not gonna get foundation, and that could really cripple the organization really quickly. That's one side. The other side, Department of Labor, EEO, all the kinds of HR management things. These things come with hefty fines, right? You don't have workman's comp. You can get charged $15,000, $16,000 just because you don't missed it for that year. All these things are what can cripple an organization. Like nonprofits don't have time to write a check $15,000 for workman's comp. They don't have time to hire a lawyer to deal with an employee issue because those are things that's pulling funds away from the program. So when you're missing all of those parts of the back office service management, it can cost you dearly if you're not really careful.
Okay, so where can people find more about you or Primus?
So we have a website. So it's www.primusco.com. So primusco.com. You can find us there. We have, all the other social media, mostly LinkedIn. You can find us on there at all times, just writing about things, giving more advice, giving more information about how this 3C model can help organizations grow. I think those are the best two ways to get in touch with us.
By the way, like about your 3C, like we haven't talked about that.
Sure. So the 3C model is something that we created a few years ago. It stands for compliance, compliance, culture, and consistency, right? And if you think about it in the realm of how they work together, compliance is the structure for the organization, right? It frees your organization up to grow. Culture is like the soul of the business. It's how people and employees experience your organization. How do they interact with your organization? How do they see how do you work? How's your consistency? How is your respect? All those kind of things. And then the consistency part is what helps you, really is that engine helps you grow the organization, right? That's what builds trust with people. If you think of any business, whether it's food or anything else, having a consistent formula to what you do is what brings people back to you every single day, right? So when you put those three things together, you have the structure for growth, you build that foundation, you understand exactly what you need, right? Because remember, compliance isn't just about legality, right? It's about clarity. You know exactly what needs to be done. You know exactly how it needs to be, how it needs to happen. And then you take that, you push it into the culture. How does the workflow, how do people experience your organization? How do you impact the culture you want to build into your hiring practices, into your customer lifeline practices, into every engagement with organizations? That helps build that kind of community around your business. And then you add in the consistency part, it helps build that trust because you can do the same thing exactly the same way time after time. And people start really understanding who you are as an organization and trust that what you do is going to come off properly.
Okay, that's awesome. Okay, so is there anything else that you would like to share?
No, I mean, thank you. I appreciate it. I know, like your audience, the coaches, the consultants, the professionals. And I'm one of them, right? We are some of the hardest working people out there, and we created this model because we know it's hard to try to balance the growth of your organization with all the other stuff that gets thrown at you in life. And your business does not have to be one of those stressors for you. So, we create these models. We do free webinars for these models. We try to help other organizations understand how this works because the more organizations, and that's part of my goal in life, right? I want to see organizations go way past the 3 year mark and way past the 5 year mark. I want to see them grow into businesses that fund their community, that they can pass on to their kids, pass on to the next generation, pass on to people, and become really impactful in the world. So we do this work for that reason. So like I said, anybody who wants to reach out with us can definitely check us out our website, contact us, and we are always willing to have a conversation with people.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I very
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Bye.